Hello and welcome back to 1874. I'm your host, Dan Bardell, joined by Max Stokes, aka Villa on tour, to do a very special video that we're going to attempt to explain very, very shortly. This show is sponsored by Match Bingo, and you can download the app by heading to 1874.io/matchbingo, and you can buy bingo cards for all the football that's coming up, including the World Club Cup and the Women's Euros. If you buy 4 bingo cards, you get 1 free as well, and it's a little bit of a fun way to enjoy the football. I had some cards last night on the England game. In all fairness, that didn't make the game any more fun because it was absolutely hopeless, but I nearly won some money. I didn't quite. But if you buy a Match Bingo card, you might win a little bit of cash, and it is cheap to invest as well. Right, Max, hello.
Hello.
Do you want to explain this? I'm good. The most thing we're most nervous about here is trying to explain what it is that we're doing on this content.
My video. Channel. It's over to you, mate.
Right. So what we thought we'd do is, obviously, we think Villa are probably going to have to sell someone for PSR/SCR, and all the young kids on YouTube nowadays, they like a tier list. So Max and I have come up with a tier list kind of tier. I don't know what to call it. What is it? We've come up with a tier list, and we're going to go through every single player in the Villa squad where we think they rank. So if I put it up on screen, it's probably worth saying actually that this will be coming out on audio as well, but you're probably going to have more fun if you watch this on YouTube. So if you're at home and you're listening to just the audio version of this, probably best to switch over to YouTube and watch it via that function, because I think you'll probably get a little bit more out of it. But if you're out and about on a tube, on a train, you can still listen to this via audio and it will make sense. So here's the tier list. So we've got 5 tiers here, Max. Must not sell. Second tier is would rather not lose, but we understand we have PSR and SCR issues. Third tier is can go. Fourth, loan out. And fifth, players that we think are safe and are not going to be involved in any transfer shenanigans this summer. So that makes sense to me. It makes sense to you, Max?
Yes. Yeah, makes sense. Happy.
You're happy with it? So I'm going to switch my screen over to the tier list and hope that everything I do is replicated on the screen that Max is seeing. Max, let me know if this is not the case. So the first player that we're going to talk about is the big one, Emi Martinez, Max. Where would you put him in this tier list?
If there was no noise around him, we hadn't seen him crying at Villa Park and XYZ, I'd 100% put him in must not sell. I think when me and you did the Jacob Ramsey episode, I alluded to the fact that there's 2 or 3 players that I'd put in there. Emi Martinez is world class. We've talked about it a million times. I just think it would be silly to sell such a unique and important position like a goalkeeper who's a winner and has unbelievable quality. So personally, I'd put him in must not sell, but we'll see.
Yeah, I'm with you. Out of every player on this list, he's the one I'd least want to lose still, because this is going to sound harsh and I don't mean it to, but I still think if we're all being massively, massively honest, I think he's Villa's only genuine world-class player. I think Villa have got a couple that are close, but I think he's the only player that is genuinely world-class at this current time, and he's a winner as well. He's got experience of winning things. Not loads of players in the Villa squad have that experience. He's on a long contract, so in any usual year, he'd be safe. But we know Villa have got PSR and SCR problems. With that in mind, Max, we know he's the one that kills 2 birds with 1 stone. I believe he's the highest paid player, so that helps with SCR. And in PSR purposes, Villa are going to get a pretty good fee because he is one of the best goalkeepers in the world. So it's a toss-up between the 2 tiers for me, where for me, he's the most important player, I think. But what about you? Do you think we could get away with putting him in the must-not-sell tier?
I think if we put him in the must-not-sell tier, we've got to put somebody else in the would rather not lose but tier. Yeah. So it makes it difficult, but I'm with you. I think he's world-class, and he'd be one of the first 2 names that I would really not like to sell. So we'll put him in must not sell.
Should we say that we're allowed 2 in the must not sell?
I'd say so.
And then we've
got to well just put everyone in there. But
we've got to put I'd say we've got to put 1 at least in the would rather not lose out of the, big players.
Yeah, we'll try and spread people as much as possible to make it interesting.
Also, it is our opinion, isn't it? So it's not like we think the same as the club. The club might be thinking, well, we've got to sell Emi Martinez, but for us as fans, we're thinking, well, I don't want that to happen. So I think it's fair. We agree on that we put Emi Martinez in the must not sell. And I'm just going to check that has been replicated on the screen, Max.
Yes, looks good.
Oh,
Looks good my end.
tell you what, Bardell technology here going very, very well. Right, the second player that we're going to discuss, Max, is Joe Gauci. Now, this is a difficult one because obviously we've just spoken about Emi Martinez. Robin Olsen, whatever you think of him, was the number 2, and he's gone. They're quite short on goalkeepers. So, Joe Gauci went out on loan and got injured. Where would you think Joe Gauci goes here? Because I don't think he's going to stick around to be a number 3 goalkeeper, and I assume Villa are going to sign at least one goalkeeper this summer.
Yeah, I don't really think him sticking around benefits anybody. I think it would probably be another loan out situation. I think on paper, Barnsley was probably a decent move for him. You know, it's lower league English football. What more do you want? I think I can remember one game he's played for Villa in the first team, that Wickham away game in the Carabao Cup.
Played Palace, didn't he, as well, when we lost at home in the Carabao?
Oh, God, forgettable.
Pretty sure he played then.
But yeah, I think loan out is probably the most reasonable option for Joe Gauci.
I'd agree with that. I think you need a season in the EFL and then Villa can gauge him and see where he's at. I mean, young goalkeeper, they want to play. I would say young, he's probably not as young as I think he is, but you know, younger goalkeepers who are inexperienced, they want to play and they need minutes under the belt as a goalkeeper. Yeah. That's the most important thing. So I wouldn't sell him just yet. There's absolutely no point in him sticking around. Even if we don't sign a number 2 and Villa think he's good enough to be a number 2, I don't think there's any point in him sticking around to be a number 2 in my opinion. Yeah. Right, so we agree on that one as well then. Matty Cash is the next one. I think he's just safe. I don't think there's any danger of him go. Look, every player's got a price. If someone came in with 20 million for him tomorrow, Villa would obviously review that and look at it. But I don't see that happening. He's under contract. I don't think Villa will look at right back as a massive area of concern now that they haven't qualified for the Champions League. So I think he's just safe, to be honest. What about you?
Yeah, it's probably one of the ones that I don't know if I'd disagree with you, but I'd be more open to it. I think, I don't know, a lot of players have played right back, haven't they, over the last couple of years? I'm not sure. I don't know what's here. Maybe would rather not lose, but PSR. I think if a decent offer comes in for Matty Cash, I think we can look at an upgrade potentially. I think he's one of the players that maybe divides the fan base a little bit. Maybe that's social media fandom coming into it. But I personally would put him in would rather not lose, but I wouldn't say he's totally safe, to be honest.
So I disagree with you. I think he's absolutely safe. I think at worst, in an ideal world, Villa would bring in another right back of like a genuine, more senior right back, and you'd have like a Luca Dean Matson situation there, where you've got two different fullbacks for different occasions, and Cash kind of does what Luca Dean's done over the last few years. I think he's pretty safe. I don't think Villa will even massively be looking at right back. Although if they bring in a right centre back, it might be someone that can play right back again, because we know Emery likes that. I think he's absolutely safe, but I'm happy to bow down to you, Max, and give you this one.
I'm happy to go safe. I mean, okay. I can 100% see him staying for sure. I just think if an offer comes in, I don't see Villa like really keen on keeping him. I think we'll come on to the next player, obviously, in Garcia. I've liked the look of him so far. I don't think he's ready for first team football 50 games a season yet, but yeah, we'll put Cash in safe. I don't mind that.
I think there's a few players on here, and obviously I think this with Cash, that they're kind of in the situation where Villa aren't actively looking to sell them, and I don't think there'll be any interest in them. So that kind of makes them safe. If that makes sense, that's how I feel about Cash.
I just think like maybe a club getting promoted there. I don't know what the promoted team's right back situation's looking like, but I think he's got Premier League experience, he's got European experience. If you can get him for 20, 25 million, I think that'll be a decent deal for certain clubs.
I think he's better than. I think he's a top half Premier League player as a bare minimum. I think he's better than a newly promoted side, and I can't see a newly promoted side coming and spending like 20 million, let's say, on an established right back like Matty Cash. Garcia, then Andreas Garcia. If we'd have qualified for Champions League, I think he may have gone on loan, and Villa may have looked at another right back in that situation that I've just spoke about. But because we've qualified for the Europa League, I actually think he'll get plenty of football in the Europa League. Emery played him in the Premier League when we had an injury crisis. He did reasonably well. He's going to have had a pre-season now. They like the look of him from what I hear. They're impressed with what he's done so far. I know he faded away towards the end of the season. I actually think he's quite safe as well. What do you think?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I was gonna say safe. I've really liked the look of him so far. Like you said, hasn't played too much football. Played a little bit when he came in. He started that Liverpool game at Villa Park, didn't he? Made a mistake there, but I think played in a couple of FA Cup games as well. He looks quick. He looks sharp. He looks confident as well. He doesn't take the safe option a lot of the time. I like the look of him.
Yeah.
So yeah, decent option. I'd definitely say safe.
Yeah, I think he'll get football. I think Europa League group stage is tailor-made for Garcia to start some games.
Definitely.
Obviously, Villa will have a mixed level of opposition in the group phase. Obviously, we don't know at the moment who we're going to play, but I think he'll get plenty of football, Garcia. I think he's in the plans, and I think he's safe. Kane, Kessler, Hayden. Max, I'll let you go first this time.
I'd say the first one we'd probably put in can go. I think when we played Preston in the FA Cup, we were just stood outside the ground and various Preston fans were just having a chat with us, and one of them said, he's the next Trent Alexander-Arnold. Now, whether that was just, he was just a little bit excited, I'm not sure, but he's definitely had a good season at Preston. Had a couple of decent loan spells now in the EFL, so I'm sure they'd be interested in him, and he'd fetch an okay fee. So, yeah, I expect him to go in the summer.
I agree with you. I think he's not going to make it at Villa, unfortunately. I had high hopes for him when when they won the Youth Cup. I really wanted him to do well for the club and make it. But bearing in mind that we've just said 2 right backs are safe.
Yeah.
In an age where PSR is important, even if you only make 5 million for him, that's 5 million of pure profit. So I think every kind of little bit helps with PSR. So I think he can go, and I think he could even remain in the Premier League for me. I think he could join a newly promoted team, or he could join one of the teams that's just gone down. I see some Coventry linked quite heavily with him over the last couple of days. So he'll have a good career, and I think one day he'll be a Premier League player, but he won't be with Villa. So yeah, I agree. He can go in can go. The next one's an interesting one. Lamar Bogard obviously recently signed a new contract, Max. I kind of see that as Villa covering themselves in that they've protected themselves and now they can get a good fee for him. He's homegrown, which helps from a PSR perspective. Also, I think he'd fetch a decent fee. So I think Villa have done good work with Lamar Bogard, and I thought as the season went on, he grew and got better every time he played. But then again, everyone became fit and we didn't see much of him towards the back end of the season. But he was really, really important in January, February, Lamar Bogard. And I actually think he's got something. So I'm not sure personally where to put him. What about you?
Yeah, I'm a big fan. I'm a really big fan. Like you said, at the start of the season, he was sort of being thrown in all over the place, wasn't he? I remember he started at Young Boys in the Champions League and he struggled that night a little bit. But then on the other hand, a little bit later on in the season, like in the new year, he came on against Arsenal away, I believe it was. I think we just conceded. Onana got injured and he came on in midfield. So right back, midfield, centre back. He's versatile. Emery likes that. And I really like him. I like the look of him. And he's developed a lot over the last sort of 12, 24 months. So I want to keep him. It's a difficult one, isn't it? It is a really difficult one. Yeah. Would rather not lose, but PSR potentially. I really like him.
Yeah, I think I'd agree with you. I think he falls in the would rather not lose, but PSR, SCR section. I think there's a world where similar with what I said about Garcia, I think there's a world where he actually ends up staying and he's that 4th centre-back.
Yeah.
Because we're in the Europa League, not the Champions League. I wouldn't be against that either if, we want to spend money in other areas and we know we're going to have to be a little bit more frugal than we'd like this summer. I think I'd be happy with him being part of the squad. And he played a lot of games around Christmas, when we had a pretty big squad in fairness. There's something there for me, but we'll see. I do think if someone came in and offered 10 to 15 million, I think there has been interest from Germany in the past because of PSR. Villa would sell him. But I think there's a place for him at the club. I really do think that. So I think Villa have done good work anyway, getting him tied up. I think that's protected him, protected Villa, and whatever happens, at worst, we're going to get a good fee for him now. So well done to the club for that. Next one's a no-brainer. Doesn't even really need talking about. I don't think I'm going to plonk him in there before speaking to you. Ezri Konsa is safe, isn't he? I don't think anyone's going to be coming in for him. They should, because he's an unbelievable defender, but I think
he doesn't get talked about, does he? He never gets talked about, like in terms of praise from the Villa fan base, really. Like it's never really him, but then in terms of selling players again, he's just sort of like a staple now of sort of Villa's defence, as he has been for the last, 6 years or so.
Yeah, I'm guilty of this, whether I do a post on socials after the game or come on and do post-match shows. He just always flies under the radar, Konsa, just because he's consistent. And I think every club needs players like that. And he is our Mr. Consistent Ezri Konsa. I think he's really, really important. But I never seem to talk about him, which is wrong. So probably, if he was on the market, if Villa said they wanted 40, 50 million, he was on the market, I think there would be interest. But I just think Villa have got no desire to sell. He's probably got no desire to go, especially in the World Cup. Yeah, I think at the moment, he's every chance of being a starting centre-back for England. And if I was him, I wouldn't want to risk that myself anyway. You know you're going to play every week for Villa. Hopefully not so much at right back as we've seen over the past couple of years. I think he's just safe, isn't he, Conser, and a really, really important player for the club.
Yeah, I think we need some continuity in defence as well. I mean, we've had a lot of combinations this season just gone. There's the goalkeeper talk, obviously. Pau Torres and Tyrone Mings seem to chop and change as they have done over the last 12 months or so. So a bit of continuity and consistency in defence, Mr. Ezri Konsa stays for me.
Yeah, and the next one we definitely know falls under the safe category. Tyrone Mings, because he's just signed a new contract. So Tyrone Mings is going to be there again next season. One of my actual all-time favourite Villa players, my favourite player in the current squad. That was great news, wasn't it? Not something I've actually spoken about much on the channel. Kind of went under the radar a little bit, but it's great news to get him signed up and know he's going to be there next season.
Yeah, brilliant news, fantastic news. Absolutely buzzing for him. And ultimately, he's our best defender, and the records speak for themselves. When he plays, we very rarely lose. So yeah, absolutely buzzing for him.
Was he unbeaten last season? Well, I imagined that. I think he was except for the Carabao Cup.
Maybe.
In the Premier League,
I don't know whether it was the last 10 games. I don't know what happened before that. I'm not sure, but he's got a very strong record when he plays.
Yeah, still think if we'd applied him in that Crystal Palace game, this is not me digging out Pau Torres, but I just think it was unthinkable not to play him in that game at Wembley, and we didn't, and I think that cost us. I think we're just a lot better with Tyrone Mings on the pitch for me at certain points during the season, and I absolutely adore the man, and as I say, goes down as one of my all-time favourite Aston Villa players. I think Pau Torres, I think he's probably safe just because we know he's Emery's favourite. Again, that's left centre back sorted, isn't it? There's nothing to worry about there with Mings and Torres. Injury disrupted him again this season. Had an injury at the same time of the season, two seasons running, which has been detrimental to him. But he's still a really, really good footballer, isn't he, Pau Torres? We just need to keep him fit for a whole season.
Yeah, I'd say safe. I think him and Mings, your two left centre halves, aren't they? Both offer different things, play them in different games, and obviously, like you said, he's Emery's favourite, so that probably nails it down to the mass that he's not going anywhere, is he? No,
rightly so as well. As much as I rave about Mings, there's a place for both of them. I love Pau Torres as a footballer as well. Some of his line-breaking passes. He's a phenomenal player. That goal Duran scored against Bayern Munich, Torres' involvement in that often gets overlooked. Not many centre-backs can do what he did there. And this is a tough one, the next one. Luca Dean. He battles back every single summer. Every single summer you think he's going to leave. Really, really consistent. We speak about Konsa being consistent.
Yeah.
Luca Dean's right up there for me. So consistent over the past couple of seasons. Really underrated delivery. Chips in with assists. Doesn't chip in with as many free kick goals as I'd have liked him to, considering he's supposed to be a designated dead ball taker. But a really, really good. Ended up being a really, really good player for the club, hasn't he? Despite a rocky start under Steven Gerrard, which you can forgive him for now, knowing what Gerrard was like. Where does he go, Max?
It's a tough one, isn't it? I really, really like him. Obviously, still in that France team as well. You can't argue with that. I'd probably would rather not lose, but PSR. I just think him and Maatsen are they're perfect, aren't they? The left back department there is extremely strong. I think it's up there with the best in the Premier League. Obviously, they've both got their own talents and skill sets. But like you said, he chips in with assists. Free kicks, maybe not so much. But I think he's been consistent and one of our better performers for a very, very long time. So I'd be very disappointed to lose him. He's got one more year on his contract.
Yeah, that's the problem, isn't it? One more year, Sevilla could get a fee for him. And also he is on the higher side of Villa's wage structure. And him and Maatsen, from what I know, are not too dissimilar in terms of wages. And reading between the lines of stuff people have said recently, it's almost like we can't afford to have two players of similar ability, if that makes sense. And I think Luca Dean and Maatsen fall into that camp.
What sort of fee do you reckon if you sold him this window, what sort of fee you're looking at? It's not going to be astronomical, is it?
I think 10 million at best, maybe.
I'd rather keep him, to be totally honest.
Get another year out of him, and then he goes on a Bosman.
Yeah. I'd be happy with that. Yeah,
if Saudi come in and he's willing to go because of his wages, I guess the club look at it. So probably where we've put him in the would rather not lose section. I think that's probably the right place for him, isn't it? Yeah. Maatsen, safe as well.
Yeah, I think
really like him, I do. I love him, I do.
He's my lasting memory of him is that last game of the season against Man United, where he had a bit of a horror show, but as did everybody. That Newcastle home game, that shows the talent he's got and sort of a view into the future there. Hopefully, he's electric when he wants to be, and I think over the season, he sort of improved defensively as well. I think when he first started playing a fair few games, everyone was looking at him as a little bit suspect at left back defensively. But I think he's improved on that, and he's only going to get better. So yeah, I'd say safe, and I think he's going to play a hell of a lot more games next season.
He almost became the first choice towards the kind of final stretch of the season, didn't he? And it was Luca Dean coming in for the odd game, and Maatsen was very much given the opportunity as the number one left back. And I think he's going to be massive for us next season. I really, really rate him. I like what he offers. There was even games when Rashford played wide left and he was providing the width, and Maatsen kind of inverted and almost became a number 10, and he did that very well as well. I think he's a really clever footballer and going to be really key to Villa moving forward. I think he's a great buy when Villa got him, he'd just been named in the Champions League team of the season. He was slow to start, a little bit like Tielemans in his first year, but showed his class as the season went on. So yeah, he's absolutely safe. Now we move on to one of the more complex players for us to talk about. Also arguably Villa's best player, Boubacar Kamara. 2 years left on his contract. We know there's an offer on the table. We know he hasn't signed it just yet, but there's still no indication that he's not going to sign. So it's not something I'm massively worried about. But he is someone that would get a high fee for Villa. He is on high wages as well. Bearing in mind, I think we can only put one more in the must not sell.
Ooh, is that the rule? Is it?
I don't know. But we'll see how we go on it. I feel like, for example, obviously we've got Tielemans coming up. I don't think we could put both of them in must not sell. So I guess it depends on your preference. But what were you thinking around Kamara?
I love him. I really, really love him. I think the only thing I'd say is his injury concern. It feels like
right to bring that up.
Every year or so he misses a fair portion. Although when he does have a big injury, he seems to come back fairly quick, doesn't he? But I'd rather him not have that injury in the first place. So it's a tough one. It is a tough one. I think there are players that I'd put in must not sell ahead of him, but that absolutely does not mean that, if an offer's on the table, get rid of Kamara. It's hard, isn't it? But like I said, there are players I'd put ahead of him. So
okay.
What's that mean?
I've just been doing some fundamental maths in my head whilst you've been talking and looking at the squad. I think we could only have a maximum of 3 or 4 in the must not sell. I don't think you could put any more in there, otherwise this video is not fair.
I've got an initial 3 in my head in must not sell, and Kamara's it's tough. There's 2 that I'm absolute about in must not sell.
Yeah, I've got 3 that I'm. Oh, no, actually, I might even have 4. Yeah, this is tough now. Well, it should probably worth saying that we can move people around just because we put someone in there now. We can talk and make a change. So
should we put Kamara in must not sell for now,
and then we might review it as we go through.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, that's fair. I think that's a fair way of doing it. It's a fluid chart, Max. It can change at any point here, and don't worry about that. Right, but I like that you brought the injuries actually, because it's something I've thought but I haven't really spoken about. He does miss a chunk of every season, and a big chunk of every season as well. But you're right to say when he comes back, he always comes back ahead of schedule. And he always looks like he hasn't been away as well, which I think is really, really unique. Not many players can pull that off. You talk about, he just needs to get his match fitness back with certain players. Kamara just seems to be there immediately when he does come back. I always think, you don't sell someone who you can't get better than. And that's why I have Emi Martinez in the must not sell. I think Kamara probably falls into that category as well, because where are Villa going to get a genuine defensive midfielder who's better than him? I don't think we can.
I think if we were in the Champions League, I think he'd stay. And I think
he'd sign a contract, perhaps.
Yeah, I just a penny for his thoughts. I wonder what he was thinking on that final day when we didn't make Champions League. I'd love to know what he was thinking. Also,
clubs are asking his agents about him, and there's been brief links to PSG, but good luck getting into that midfield, because obviously it looked perfect this season. But yeah, we'll put him in must not sell for now, but it's a fluid list. It might well change. Enzo Barrenechea, Max. Now, always makes me laugh on social media, people talking about Enzo Barrenechea, because he was in the Argentina squad, so he must be a player. And in pre-season, I really liked the look of what he offered. But people who are claiming to be experts can't have watched every single Valencia game this season. I know I haven't.
You've seen the compilation, haven't you?
I've seen the compilations. You could put a compilation together of me, of all the various things I've done, and I'd look like the best football pundit in the world if you just cherry-pick certain bits from it. I don't think we're going to loan him again. I quite like it, but I don't know whether he falls in a can go or would rather not lose, but PSR, I'm not sure. It feels to me a player that's only going to go up in value there.
Yeah, it sort of depends on what happens with the other midfielders, I guess. There's rumours about Onana, really loose rumours about Tielemans. Obviously, we've already spoken about Kamara. They've all played a lot of football this season. So if one of them goes, Enzo will play more games and more minutes, and he's still very young. So I want to see him. I want to see him. We'll see what happens in pre-season. That doesn't really help us with this now, does it?
No.
But I want to see him in pre-season.
Okay. So what were you saying then?
Oh, it's tough, man. In an ideal world, I'd probably put him in loan out, but it seems too easy to do. So what does that mean? Would rather not lose, but PSR, I guess.
Yeah. Let's put him in there. I think there's a player there. You're not in the Argentina squad unless you're a good player. Oh, yeah. And he performed really well in La Liga from reading about him and obviously seeing brief clips. I did actually watch one Valencia game and he actually didn't do very much in the game I watched. But
they struggled this year, didn't they, Valencia?
Yeah, they struggled. He was in a bad team. If he got,
yeah.
I suppose if he got a loan and did well, he's only going to go up in value. If you got a kind of a better loan for him, there'd be a lot of interest around him if Villa decided to loan him out or sell him. But Emery obviously will take a look at him in pre-season. And there was stuff the other day saying that Emery's already decided he can go. So ultimately, I think we trust Emery in his judgment. And if the club think they can get 15 to 20 million pounds for him, obviously he's played for Juventus as well, hasn't he?
Yeah.
Then I guess that's good in the PSR landscape. Someone that's never played for you, the club would have to look at that. Barkley, safe.
I like Ross Barkley. I really like him.
A good season.
Yeah, he did. Shame he got that injury. It was against West Ham, wasn't it, in the FA Cup? And he was
Never
out for
saw
a long
him again
time.
after that, really.
Yeah, he was out for a long time. But in that sort of first half of the season, in the Champions League games, he came on, didn't he? And he sort of saw out every game. He did really well. So I really like Ross Barkley.
Won the Leipzig tie for us.
Yeah, he did. Oh, what a night that was.
Yeah, won the Leipzig tie.
I really, really like Ross Barkley. I think when he signed, I was always like, it's low risk. It's low risk. And he proved himself and he sort of developed as a player, hasn't he, over his career, and he's sort of come a little bit deeper. And I really, really like him. So, yeah, I'm happy to put him in safe.
I think for the ideal scenario here is Barrenechea goes on loan for another year. You see how he gets on. Barkley sees out his contract and does another year for Villa because he got in the team on merit as well. Before he got injured, he was in the team on merit. He scored important goals. He was really involved. If he was coming on, he was doing well. If he was starting, he was doing well. You need players like that who are quite low maintenance, not expecting to play every week in your squad. So, yeah, Barkley, I think, falls under safe. Amadou Onana, Max, difficult one to talk about because you assume he'll just stay and you assume he'll have that second season where he follows a Tielemans arc and he'll be better. Performed well in the last few games, bar the Manchester United absolute disaster class from everyone. Where does he go? Because there has been loose Saudi links, but there has been with a few players.
Unless a lot of things go wrong and a lot of things fall apart, I can't see him going unless things don't happen with Martinez or things don't happen with Leon Bailey or Kesler Hayden, whatever. And he's a real last resort. I can't see anything but Onana being here next season and again playing a bigger part and again staying fit. But I really like him. He's a unique profile. He started well, didn't he, in terms of goals and stuff? Scored a great one against Newcastle at the end of the season as well. And just his character as well. You can't really look past that. So, yeah, let's put him in safe.
Yeah, I think at 23, he's not going to go to Saudi. And then who's going to spend that kind of money on him anywhere else? I don't think it's going to happen. I think he'd rebuff any Saudi links. You forget as well, players are under contract. Like just because Villa might need some help with PSR and SCR, players under contract, they don't have to go and just say, well, I'm staying. Luca Dean's done that over the last few years, just said, I'm under contract, I'm going to stay. I believe I can get in the team. And he's been proved right. So, yeah, I think Onana probably does fall in the safe category, and you do hope that he follows a Tielemans arc and has that kind of stellar second season. So, Den Donker next, Max. I mean, we can put him in the can go, but probably Villa will be forced to loan him out again because he doesn't want to leave on those massive wages and no one's going to take on those massive wages. So, he'll probably end up being loaned out again. We don't need to spend too much time on this. But
it's absolute madness. I spoke about it in my video at the weekend. There's got to be interest. Like it's easy to say, you can sell these players, but someone's got to be interested and be willing to take on his wages while he's still under contract. So, it's just fed up. Yeah,
he'll probably go on loan again. Villa will probably have to pay around 70-80% of his wages again. It's just the way it is. You're still paying for other people's mistakes, aren't you? So, yeah.
Always.
I'd actually mind Den Donker. I don't think he's ever let us down, but we've moved past that. But we can't shift him. He's on a contract. Yeah, it is what it is. Right, Yuri Tielemans then. I'm going to bash him up straight up to must not sell, Max. Player of the year. Phenomenal. What a footballer. What a season he's just had. But it does feel a bit cheaty to put him and Kamara in must not sell.
Yeah. If you got a gun to my head and you're making me choose between them two, I don't know.
That's
I
tough,
think
isn't it? I think I'd rather just die.
yeah, just pull the
Just
trigger,
shoot
mate.
me.
It's fine.
Yeah, just
I
shoot
don't
me.
know. I don't know. Yeah. For the moment,
Yeah.
what have we said? We're allowed 3 in must not sell.
I'm looking down this
So
list of the people we
I
haven't
know.
put in yet. So,
I know. Let's do it for now, and we'll cross that
okay.
bridge when we come to it.
Yeah. The good news is the next one, John McGinn, we know he's
Yeah,
not going
safe.
anywhere. Emery loves him. The fans love him. I love him. Brilliant part of the team. Can play so many different positions. Never lets us down wherever he plays. When he plays well, Villa play well. We'll play loads of games again next season, John McGinn. So durable as well. He's just safe, isn't it?
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Don't even need to talk about John
No,
McGinn.
not much more I can say. Like it just feels like he's going to play in captain Villa forever. He might not play every game. He hasn't this season. But, oh, mate, retire at Villa, John. I don't mind it.
Yeah, and retire that number 7 shirt afterwards as well. Well, that would be not nice to not see a number 7 ever again. But I think John McGinn's made such an impact at this club that can never be forgotten. Emi Buendia can go.
Yeah, it's a
Probably
shame,
will go.
Yeah, I'm not. Again, I can't claim to have watched many Bayer Leverkusen games.
Did okay by the sounds of things. Scored some goals.
Decent,
And they're a good level. They're a good level, aren't they, as well? So
exactly.
I can see a Leeds move for him as the window transpires.
Yeah, that looks. That makes sense. That does. And I think that would work again for all parties. You're looking at. You fetch 20 million, 15 million?
15. He signed that. Villa protected themselves again with the kind of extension to the contract, didn't they? He needs to go and play somewhere every week. He just started to get more minutes before he left, hadn't he? Obviously, we signed Asensio, and, with all due respect to Emi Buendia, Asensio is Asensio, and Emi Buendia is Emi Buendia, so, you're not going to play.
I think if you're Leeds and you're linked with Buendia for 15 million, looking at sort of, I've said it before, but you can't get a lot for 15 million these days.
No.
Again, injury problems, I know, but he's proved himself in the Premier League. He's a serious talent and can be for someone who looks after him and making sure he can stay fit. So I think that'll be a decent deal. And if we can get 15 million for sort of a forgotten man, I think that's a great deal.
Yeah, the club moved on when he was out injured, didn't they, unfortunately for him, and it struggled for him to catch back up. But a great player. I like that he tries things and he won't be afraid to give the ball away. He won't care about some players' stat pad, I think. Buendia definitely doesn't fall into that group. But yeah, he can go in the can go, and I think he will go as well, and Villa will get a semi-decent fee for him. Right, I don't even know if I ever say his name right. Some people say it's Eiling Jr., some people say it's Ealing Jr., but Samuel. Ealing, you reckon?
Yeah, it's got to be, hasn't it? I haven't heard anything different.
No, where does he go then? I think we're going to have to start being a bit more ruthless at some point, Max. I think he might have to go in the can go.
Yeah, I'd say so. Again,
Loans weren't really a success at either club, were they?
Exactly. Yeah, I'd say can go. I don't think we're going to be missing out on much if he goes, to be honest. I remember he played in that Warsaw game in pre-season last year, and I really like the look of him. But Jota impressed me in that fixture a few years previous. So, can go, unfortunately.
I think Hellenius might have even scored against Warsaw in the...
Not a great sign, is it? Who's going to thrive this year? We'll see. Maybe Joe Gauchi has the game of his life and then is never seen again against Warsaw. We'll see.
Well, yeah. He's injured. I don't know if he's injured, but yeah, I catch your point completely. Ealing Jr., it's a bit harsh because we don't know loads about him. We haven't seen loads of him, but can, again, in a PSR landscape. Although I do think, Villa going to get any kind of fee for him. He'll probably go on loan because at the moment Villa won't get good value for him, but we'll stick him in can go anywhere. Now, this is a good one. Jacob Ramsey. You and I did a video on Jacob Ramsey. Was it last week?
Yeah.
We did that talking about him. Do go back and check that out if you haven't watched or listened to that already. Bearing in mind, we're probably not going to be able to put him in the must not sell because of the loose rules that we've given ourselves. He's going to go in the would rather not lose, but PSR/SCR, isn't it?
Yeah, I think I'd say it's fair to say that's the general consensus we came to in that video we did. We raved about him. We felt like injuries again had caused problems for him. He had a bit of a season, but if he stays, it's going to be a huge one for him next season. He's got no choice really but to kick on. But I think that would rather not sell, homegrown. He's one of us, but PSR comes calling down. You haven't really got a choice. So I think that tier is fair for Jacob Ramsey.
Yeah, I think if you're not in the best 11, which he arguably isn't. I suppose Asensio's not at the club at the moment, so maybe he is actually. But the homegrown factor gets played in. If someone came in for him, he hasn't been the player he was a couple of years ago, unfortunately, for varying reasons. And there are obviously caveats there.
And if something like a Martinez stays, as unlikely as that maybe looks at the moment, someone else has got to go.
Yeah, I think we can only put him there. I don't think we can put him anywhere else, in fairness, Jacob Ramsey. And the next one, Morgan Rogers, I'm automatically going to put him in must not sell. But then I think we might have a problem.
Oh, this is scuppering us now, Dan.
Yeah.
If we're only allowed 3, this is bad.
This is still the thing I'm most worried about, is that we get to the last week in June and Chelsea come in with 100 million and we have to sell him. I'm still very, very worried about that. After Martinez would be the one I wouldn't sell, but then he's also Villa's probably most valuable player.
Yeah.
If anyone comes in with 100 million for anyone, you probably have to consider it, don't you? But I think he's so important, and Emery obviously rates him so highly.
He's such a talent. In my head right now, I'm ranking those 4, Martinez, Kamara, Tielemans and Rodgers, that we've got in must not sell right now. I'd probably put him in the top 2 out of them.
I think we might have to lose Berber down one.
Yeah.
Only because of the contract. 2 years left on his contract.
And the injury thing as well is playing on my mind.
Even though I do think he's arguably Villa's best player, Kamara, I think the 3 that are already in the must not sell are more important in my mind.
I wouldn't be happy to do that, but I do agree with you. If we've got to move one of them down.
Let's move him down for now. So for those listening via audio, Boubacar Kamara has just moved down from must not sell to would rather not lose. So we've got 3 in the must not sell. That does feel like the maximum that we've got to have up there.
We'll have another issue in a minute. But
we will. But luckily no issue with Leon Bailey, because he's going to go to Saudi Arabia. We can put him in the can go.
It's a shame.
Because he will go. I've got a soft spot for him, I've got to admit. Yeah. I've got a soft spot. I like all our players. It's not like there's any player here that I don't like, because they've all been great for us and got us to like places we've never seen as Villa fans previously, me and you, because we're relatively young. You obviously a lot younger than me, like Champions League football, and Bailey was a big reason we got Champions League football. So he goes with my blessings, to be honest, and my thanks. Not that you really care about that, but I think he's been a good servant for Villa in the end. And in the end, if we get 25 million back for him as well, I think we can say he was a good signing for the club, Max.
Yeah, definitely. I think if we're looking back in sort of a decade's time, I think we'll remember him fairly fondly as quite a fun player. I think you'd probably say he's had one really good, successful season in 4?
That doesn't sound right, actually.
No, but in that season, though, he was very good. And like you said, he was a huge, huge reason that we got Champions League football, and scored in the Champions League against Club Brugge away from home. Huge, huge goal. So, yeah, very fond of Leon Bailey. So good luck to him.
Yeah, good luck, Leon. Right, we're getting down to the I was going to say the dregs. That's obviously not true. We're getting down to the final furlong now of this game here, Max. Daniel Marlon, you and I spoke before we started. Marlon, safe. Big player hopefully next season.
Really like him. As a recording, he played Holland won 8-0. Was it Malta?
He scored, didn't he?
He scored a couple, didn't he?
He scored 2 last night. I saw last time I checked, he'd got 2 anyway.
Oh, he's a baller. He's an absolute baller. I can't see anything but him playing more games next season, having more of an impact, becoming more comfortable. Leon Bailey's not going to be around, although I do think we'll sign a replacement for him, but he'll play more football. And like you said a million times, Dan, every time he plays, he does something exciting or something that encourages me. And
my type of player.
He's a player that gets you off your seat, and he's quick and he gets shots away. And I pay my money to see players like that. So yeah, really like him. Just
sharp is the word I would use to describe him. Just looks sharp every time I've seen him. Yeah, Marlon going to be a big player for Villa next season. Fingers crossed. Louis Barry, been here a while now, hasn't he, Max? It does feel like that moment against Liverpool in the FA Cup is going to be his one Villa moment.
Yeah, he's done well on his loans. He has. He's done well. It's a shame he got injured when he was at Stockport, and then he was at Hull as well. That went wrong.
Yeah.
If a fee comes in, maybe for a side going from League One to the Championship, I know Blues have been loosely linked.
He won't go there. He's so Villa that he won't go there.
I was going to say I don't see that happening, but that sort of side in that sort of position, I think if they throw 10 million, is that optimistic?
I don't see him at 10 million. It's very optimistic, Max.
Is it? I don't know, man.
So. You're never getting 10 million for him. You might get 5 or 6. You're not getting 10. He's done it in League 2 for Stockport. Sorry, League One for Stockport. You're not getting £10 million for someone who's only done it in League 1.
Yeah, but he was very good in League 1.
No, I agree with you. I could see him at Wrexham.
Yeah, exactly. And mate, they've got 10 million Louis Barry to Wrexham. It's going to happen.
Okay.
Hopefully.
10, no, not 10. It's not going to happen for 10. I just went along with what you said there, but it's not going to be 10 million max. 6 maximum.
I think that's a good deal. Someone who's never really played for the first team properly. Exactly. I think that's a decent deal. And
he's not
fair
going
play to him. Go and play football. Play football in the Championship. That's, again, a great level. Just go and play football, mate.
And maybe come back one day. Who knows?
Maybe.
Yeah. Right, last but certainly not least, Max, Ollie Watkins. This makes me think we need 4 in the must not sell.
Oh, we can't do that now. We can't just cop out at the last one.
But it's not a cop out, is it? Because we've not been safe because we've got 2 very good players in the would rather not lose. In fact, 3. What? We've got good players in the would rather not lose, so we have put people in there. Kamara's in there, for God's sake. Yeah. I don't think we've exactly played it safe there.
I think we should reward ourselves for moving. I think we had that difficult conversation when we moved Kamara down. 100% Ollie Watkins should be in the must not sell bit. I think goalkeeper, striker, such high positions to replace. Morgan Rogers speaks for himself. Tielemans is player of the season again, speaks for himself. Yeah, look at them 4 at the top: Martinez, Tielemans, Rogers, Watkins. It's going to be extremely hard to argue any of them to not be in the top category.
Yeah, Watkins. I did a show the other day. There's kind of nowhere for Watkins to go.
Yeah,
Villa's kind of striker landscape has changed over the last 6 months. I think he's just the main man next season, and I'm absolutely fine with that and looking forward to it.
I think if you sell Duran and Watkins both within the space of 6 months, I think that's absolute suicide. So I can't see it.
I think we're looking at 20 plus Premier League goals next season for Ollie Watkins if he stays fit.
Oh, let's hope so.
I think it's almost guaranteed. I'm certainly if he's fit, you're getting above 20 goals in all competitions as a minimum.
All competitions, 100%. Yeah.
I think we're looking at next year him getting 20 in the Prem.
That'd be nice. It's about time, isn't it, for a Villa player?
I still think he's such a good player. He's so underrated. Teams would. I'm saying there's going to be no interest in him because Arsenal are going to sign Sesko and Manchester United want Gyökeres. Chelsea have signed a lap, so I don't see him going outside the Premier League. So where would he go? I just think I genuinely rate him that highly that I think if Liverpool signed him tomorrow, he'd score goals for Liverpool and play.
100%. I think he's as close as you're going to get to guaranteed Premier League goals. 100%. I absolutely love him, and I think if he was to go, I think certain Villa fans would realise, oh God, we're going to miss a massive part of our team here, and we've got big issues. So I love him, and yes, please, 20 Premier League goals. It's about time, isn't it?
Okay, so that I think we're settled on this, Max. So I'm just going to rattle through it mainly for those that are listening via audio. So in the bottom tier, which is the safe tier, we've got Matty Cash, Garcia, Konsa, Mings, Pau Torres, Maatsen, Barkley, Anana, McGinn and Marlon. So they're the players we don't have to worry about because they're going nowhere. It's very lonely for Joe Gauci in the loan out section here on his own, just sitting there. So we've got Joe Gauci in the loan out section.
Dendoncker will join him, no doubt.
Yeah, probably. Yeah, Dendoncker. And in fact,
drag him down.
Just move him down there because that's inevitably what's going to happen. We've got no choice in the matter. Can go. We've got Kane Kessler-Hayden, Emi Buendia, Samuel Ealing Jr., Leon Bailey, and Louis Barry. And then horribly in the would rather not lose but PSR/SCR section, we've got Lamar Bogard, Luca Dean, Baranachaya, Ramsey, and unfortunately, because we had to by our own stipulations, Boubacar Kamara. And then the 4 players that we decided we were allowed 4 in the must not sell section, Emi Martinez, Yuri Tielemans, Morgan Rogers, and Ollie Watkins. So Max, how did you find that?
A lot of them were fairly straightforward. It's just that top category, isn't it? That's tough. But I think we've settled on that. I'm pretty comfortable with what we've gone for there. I think we've been pretty reasonable and fairly balanced. Yeah,
we've done the best with what we've got. We understand that the kind of permutations Villa are working with and the regulations Villa are working with. That in an ideal world, you put loads of players in the must not sell. But we're not living in that ideal world, and the club aren't living in that ideal world. So we try to do it as close to the bone and as realistically as we can. And this is what we've come up with. So do let us know in the comments whether you agree with our selections, whether you think we could have done this any differently. Please let us know in the comments. I'll screen grab this as well and put the picture out there on socials and see what people think. And undoubtedly, Max and I will get absolutely annihilated online, because that's the way it works when you do
Bring it
content
on.
online. Everything you do is judged. Everything you do is criticised by people who think that they know more than you, think that you know nothing, and think that they know better. Did you enjoy that, Max? Something a
Yeah,
bit
it was
different?
good. It brought me back to like 6 years ago when I was doing tier lists on my own in my bedroom.
Wow.
So it's nice to do it with you, Dan.
You were doing tier lists 6 years ago.
Yeah,
How am I only just catching up to tier
mate.
lists 6 years
I
on?
started the keep sell loan thing. I'm a
What season did you
pioneer.
do that?
I think was it at the end of the season we just stayed up, the W88 year.
Wow, I'd like to go back and watch that
2020.
video.
Oh,
That'll
don't, mate.
be an
Christ.
absolute treat for a variety of reasons, I'm sure.
It did well. I remember it got
Did it?
like 55,000 views. It's mental.
I mean, if I get even half of those views, I'll be
Mad.
absolutely elated, Max.
It is. Yeah, I don't know what was. I think that was like the time when it was obviously lockdown and just content was coming out of everywhere, so people were just bored. I think.
Yeah, I never missed a Villa on tour video when it was locked down. That's for certain. Do miss the odd few nowadays. I've got to say.
I'll let you off. I'll let you off.
I enjoyed that. Thought
Yeah,
it led to some difficult conversations. Sometimes the difficult conversations are the best conversations.
All I'd say is good luck to Damien Vidigani and Monchi this summer, because if they've got to do that for real, that's hard. Good luck, lads.
You wouldn't want to be in their shoes, would you?
No.
It's not pleasant. Right, Max, thank you ever so much for joining me today. Do go and check out Max's channel, Villa on Tour, as well, because you did release some content in the last few days, didn't you? So
I did. I went out and about. Yeah, went out and about around Villa Park and Aston Hall to have a little chat. It was nice.
Yeah, and if Max has brought any of his audience with him, the kids, make sure you subscribe into 1874.
So you didn't do that in the last video, you didn't slag me off. So
that's not slagging off.
No, you've ruined it now.
We're just establishing that you've got a younger audience than me.
It's actually not true.
I'm nearly double your age.
I'll share the demographics with you. It's actually not true. It's very spread.
Well, any of Max's subscribers, whatever age you are, subscribe to this channel as well. Max will be appearing on this channel throughout the summer, and you wouldn't want to miss that. So, yeah, please, if you're not subscribed and you're watching this content on YouTube, if you could do that now, that would be absolutely massive, and I'd really, really appreciate it. If you're listening to this via audio, as I've said, you'd have probably been better off watching on YouTube, but thank you for listening anyway. Give us 5 stars and leave us a lovely review, whether it be on Apple Podcasts or on Spotify. That would be greatly appreciated as well. Go back and check out the content that's been out already if you've missed any of it, and also there'll be plenty of stuff coming out throughout the week, so watch out for that as well, although I am really busy this week. But yeah, there'll still be content over the next few days for you to watch out for. That's it. Thank you for watching. Thank you for Max. Thank you for listening. Thank you to Match Bingo as well for sponsoring the channel, and that'll do us. Only one thing left to say, Max. Up the Villa.
Up the Villa.